Very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
If you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people you've messaged?
Senator, no, I would probably not choose to do that publicly here.
I think that might be what this is all about. Your right to privacy, the limits of your right to privacy, and how much you give away.
The biggest tech companies wield a lot of power these days. They are some of the most valuable companies in the world, but it's easy to forget how quick and meteoric their rises have been. Facebook, Google, and Amazon were all founded after 1994, while fellow tech giants like Apple and Microsoft, which seem to have been around forever, were only founded in the mid-1970s. While money brings power, this new breed of global leaders has much more than just money or power. They have your data. Data is relatively a new commodity, and the rise of technology has given these companies unprecedented information about us. Now, data is perhaps the most valuable commodity in the world. Nowadays, a question is being asked: are these companies able to responsibly handle such power? And do they have too much power? And along with growing fears of the tech giants' influence of power over the population and the market, there's a growing movement to break up the big tech companies. So what have the tech giants done to get to this stage? And what does the government plan to do about the big tech? And how will this affect all of us? This is a war on big tech.
Even Mark himself has said that he and the Facebook team have too much power over speech. Facebook does have a board of directors, but Mark owns the majority of the shares. Unlike the leader of a democracy, there are no checks and balances on Facebook, and he cannot be fired.
Scandals like Cambridge Analytica have exposed the ways that Facebook and other tech giants monetizes people's data, but it goes further than this. Google's and Amazon's listening technology in the form of Google Home and Amazon's Alexa have sparked inquests into whether the data is being used for advertising purposes, or even worse, recording our private conversations. Imagine the leverage you can gain over someone if you recorded everything that they have ever said. Google is also under fire for using its market position to favor its own services over the competition. For example, favoring Google ratings over Yelp ratings in their search algorithms. And while all these accusations have been going on, Amazon has been accused of killing other companies by unfair practices. Is this too much power for a company to hold?
On a coordinated antitrust investigation into Google this afternoon. Now, the focus will be on whether large tech companies have engaged in behavior that stifles competition, restricts access, and harms consumers. Now, they're making this announcement in front of the Supreme Court, which appears to be sending a message that they are not going to back down from this fight.
There are inquiries being carried out into the big tech companies. Department of Justice will carry out the investigation and inquiry on Google Probe, while the FTC will investigate on Amazon and Facebook. Proceedings are moving very quickly over the big tech companies. YouTube, for instance, was recently fined $170 million for collecting children's personal data. Facebook was fined $5 billion in a record FTC statement over their privacy practices. To make things worse, it was recently revealed that Facebook exposed 400 million phone numbers of users. Google is already being fined $5.1 billion by the European Union for Android antitrust violations. As for the rest of the cases against the big tech with the US government's legal armies, Google has mentioned that they will be cooperating with the government, but Facebook so far has remained silent. Only 41% of the users believe that the big tech companies will do what's right for their privacy and data. So what does this all mean for you and me? It could mean a great shift in our relationship with large tech companies. We're at a stage in history where we are seriously questioning the intent of the companies which we have raved about for so many years. The companies that brought us the internet in all its glory. The companies that brought us the tools that revolutionized society. We're asking the questions of what is considered fair in this new technocratic landscape and just what it means to have too much power. We're starting to realize the value of our data and what it could do in the wrong hands, but more importantly, we're now writing the rules about how big tech companies should behave with such rapid advances in technology. And most of these companies, going from startups to world leaders in a matter of a couple of decades, we may only get one chance to write the rules and have absolute control over our data and privacy.